else. Now, to break down that win from Splyce and to wrap up the day, let's hand it off to World's Cooldown.
And welcome to World's Cooldown, where I'm joined by Papa Smithy and Raz. I am Quickshot, fresh off the stage, not interrupting anybody else right now, and now I get to talk a little bit more today. You enjoy that one, Raz?
I like that.
Thank you very much. So, Raz, obviously the end of the game there from Splyce, pretty clean, pretty confident. What did you think, once the action started heating up from that 18-20 minute mark?
Yeah, I felt like they were incredibly sticky, and at the same time, it made it incredibly difficult for the Marines to get any pick. Much like Azael said, their composition was really difficult. If Pyke didn't get a hook, they weren't getting any action.
I think it's so easy to have the hot take that like there was nothing good about the draft here and that it was easily won in draft. But if you look at how Marines approach games, especially domestically, you understood the logic here. Like the enemy team didn't have much front line, so Kazakhs can jump in one shot. We saw 1 or 2 examples of that this game. If you get a lead through a very bloody early game, get your fast warrior, get your fast first item on Syndra, you can just play the game or you put down the control ward, and if anyone face checks, you get blown up. But there's no plan B. The moment you fall behind, you are in dire straits, and that was what we felt in this game, and that's why it was so comfortable for Splyce.
This is where my confidence in Splyce kicked in the fact that we saw what was happening in Zeros. Every single time Zeros finds himself in international competitions with carry options, he isn't given much resources, or at least help. There's no one collapsing for his aid, no fight being made on that side of the map. And oftentimes when that's the case, you're looking to the opposite side. What are you getting done? And it was Humanoid who was there, stopping them from looking for a possible Baron or a top lane turret. So it's Splyce that recognizes what the other possibility is for the Marines, and they cover those bases well.
And I like that you take the point on Zeros, because we've kind of hyped him up every time we've seen him. And last year, some decent performances. MSI looked quite poor. I think he has got this thankless job of, your mechanics are really good, how about you just go alone, we're not going to really ward for you, get some kills, see what you can do. And I mean, and more often than not, against a solid team, and Splyce is at worst solid about how they approach the game, you get exposed. I
think we spent a lot of time looking at this from the GAM Esports perspective and trying to understand where they faltered, especially Mr. Papa Smithy, who had very high expectations and even predicted them to win this matchup. But as you said, Splyce have got a very good baseline. I think Spawn said the word stable at the end of the cast. Game to game, Splyce have shown a consistency. I'm not going to lie, 20 minutes, it was even. I saw them get a couple picks around Baron. I got nervous, but immediately after that, a confident, clean Baron that led into one of the smoothest finishes that we've seen today.
And honestly, the draft helped because it was a very forgiving draft. It didn't do anything great, but it covered mistakes well. You have an Ezreal, for example, the safest possible bot lane choice when you don't know whether it's going to be a marksman or a non-marksman. You have GP to ult bot lane and give up minion waves if you have to. They very much said, give us your best shot, and that standard, that mechanics, that base that we have will carry us forward. And if you make mistakes, we'll lap them up and we'll win. And that's exactly how this game played out.
And that's the thing. Gigabyte Marines are really good at being able to find those picks and then look for the next, like, let's say, turret or something. Like, what can we get from this? But a lot of the time, Splyce, their vision control always follows them. So, like, for instance, the Baron pickup that they had, like, there was just no vision there from the Vietnamese team, and they were just realizing, wait a minute, we were here just a minute ago. Why weren't we actually picking up vision here at that point? We knew this was a possibility. So sometimes the game can get hyphy, and that's something they lose track of.
It's actually more clinical than that from Splyce, because it wasn't just, oh, I hope they don't have wards, let's rush it down. Zeros entered bot lane as Akali, having just teleported 20 seconds earlier, and they were like, well, he can't get there, and we've got control of the pit, so let's take it. That's clutch. That's a solid team. That's the smart call there. They made the percentage call, they got the Baron, and suddenly, pushing 3 lanes against Baron. No.
The game was not thrown into chaos, which meant Splyce was reading from a playbook, and they're exceptional at reading from playbooks. Let's hear from one of the victors in Game 6, Law standing by with Noskaren.
Thank you very much, guys. Laure here, and joining me right now is Noskaren after Splyce big W on the group stage. Congratulations on this one. I mean, it's the first time you're playing in front of such a big audience. How was it?
Well, I wasn't really nervous, but I think once I went on stage, I kind of felt the trembling a bit. I mean, it was nice, the introduction, you know, and playing in front of a crowd has been like a goal of mine for such a long time, and feels good, like finally being able to do it.
Going in front of the stage after the victory, having all these people cheering for you must be special, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you're playing a video game, and then like so many people are come here to watch you play, and it just feels good.
Now, a bit more about the game. I saw GAM Esports composition in the early game. It could have been painful for you, and I know the mid-game is not your forte, let's say. So what was the plan in the early game to counter the plan?
Well, we did a lot of scouting on this team. We know that they play heavily around their top side. Their top laner in general, like he's their #1 carry. We know their bot lane doesn't really get any like attention from the jungler. So we figured that like if you have a roaming support, that we're able to like make plays and I guess try to gank their top side a lot with just focusing in the early game. So that was kind of our plan, and I felt like they didn't really do anything anywhere, and I didn't really pay much attention to top lane, I guess, because I was obviously playing it in my lane. But yeah, they just didn't do anything, and their Pike as well got outscaled, and we just stomped them.
Good first game and good entry in the world stage. Now, looking at the group, I know Duke was not happy with the group draw as a whole. You saw the two remaining opponents playing just before you, so how do you see things shaping up and your chances in this group?
Well, I think I was definitely more scared of FPX before I saw the last game. I still think they're an insane team. They just had a bad game, maybe a bad draft as well. So I'm mostly afraid of playing against them. But I think we can still win against them. It's the best of one. Like anything can happen. And J team is supposed to be easier, even though they won. So like at least like for now, I'm kind of confident that we will make it out of groups. Especially seeing like I thought Gigabyte would be a lot harder, but they I guess didn't do anything. And I think if we keep playing like this, like we did today, we will just get second then.
I'm really happy to hear the confidence. Thanks again for the interview, and congrats again on the big victory. Now back to you guys.
It makes me very happy to hear Norskeren talk with confidence and respect, but also in honesty.
Yes.
GAM did nothing. FunPlus had a bad game. They're a better team. J Team won. They're supposed to be worse. Like, it's very deliberate word choice.
Heard an answer, yes.
The kicker. Of course I'm confident to make it out of groups. Yes, that is what I want to hear, Splice.
Yeah, he heard a question, he answered it right at the top of his head, and I love it.
What I am going to say, though, is let's talk about the games, because FunPlus Phoenix, a front runner, a favorite.
In an easy group, as we heard from Raz.
Championship in the group.
It's still possible. It's still possibly easy.
Game. Now, we backstage were joking quite a lot, saying, you know, you can't spell FPX without LGD.
Oh, geez.
And looking at some of the plays, I mean, Raz, you have to explain what happened.
So the moment we saw the draft, like me and Frosk looking at this is like, this is prototypical FPX and Duembi, right? Multiple melee champions, a lot of focus on how to play out these team fights. But if you look at the composition that, you know, J Team's rolled out, actually looks incredible. Like, great kite back composition that they can roll with both the Gnar and the Xayah.
And the power of team compositions was kind of clear in RNG versus Clutch as well. You know, that was a game where RNG's formation was just ultra formidable, and that was what carried them to the lead, as opposed to an Impact hard carry performance that really brought back kind of years past.
Especially after I had written Team Liquid off in that game, seeing what Nuguri had done in that dragon fight, dancing around 5 members of Team Liquid. I was screaming, how can you give him that champion? Then Impact shows up and says, sit down, shut up, Mr. Henry. This is how you deal with it.
I just wish we had the listen in on the solo kill and heard top die, because then suddenly it's 2016 again, right?
Oh, it would have been amazing.
He was on point and now finally catching up to the FBX series. 3 Infernal Drakes, FBX, but actually probably the worst possible comp to stack Infernals on.
If the house is on fire, you need the fire around you, but this is fine. You know, this is fine.
Is it fine, Raz? Would you be willing to say it's fine? Are we writing it off now?
Let's dial back very quickly, because
I don't even remember it anymore.
We don't have the most time to talk about today, but I want to dial back to the Fnatic SKT series. SKT showed up. They had a draft answer for the strengths of Fnatic. Faker played the Tristana flawlessly. They scaled up. I mean, it was just a beautiful performance from SKT, and they smashed Fnatic.
And it's the sort of prep that we just can't give this squad credit for. Even as a squad that's won so many world championships, Slow Starter has applied to them through multiple different versions. But in spite of, you know, joining Europe quite late, playing a couple of days of scrims and solo queue. They had some fun stuff going on. They were playing the Tristana Flex really well. They had the pocket answer to the bot lane, Garen. So whatever they're doing, double it down because it worked. And they looked super prepped. And even though the game kind of extended a little bit, I think you never really thought Fnatic were a chance to get back.
I just love the fact that we came into the series talking about the evolution of Fnatic and how much they've changed coming into this one. And then, of course, it ended with SKT's evolution. The fact that they came in already prepared, early game draft as well. You saw the Tristana working out so damn well for Faker. Like, they're no longer the team, now I'm going to say this, but we'll see maybe in the future, that will just start scaling up in the tournament. It seems like they came in strong and understood the meta right from the get-go.
All I know about Worlds is, at least there's one exception to this, but there are a lot of games played, then SKT wins was the adage for a long time, and they finished second last time, but World Championships, you know.
The worst placement SKT have ever had at a World Championship is second.
I can up that.
In a winner's interview with Khan earlier today, I'm going to misquote it, but the sentiment was, everyone was talking about the group of death. I don't know where that idea comes from. Only people who can't focus on the prize are in the group of death. We're here to win. And that was the sentiment of the interview, and that terrifies me.
Faker has only ever won tournaments or lost to the winner of a tournament. There's never been another outcome in a 6-year career, Trevor. And that's some scary numbers. And some people are saying maybe they can fall out of groups. It's a tough group, of course, but I'm not one of those people.
There we go.
Oh, man. Okay, so we'll have to find out because it's only been day one here at Worlds. Why don't we take a quick look at the standings? Group A clashes tomorrow with Group B having the J team upset alongside the Splice win. So this is scheduled looking a little bit as well. Standings, the only teams you haven't seen just yet is that Group A squad. What's catching your eye here, Rez?
Yeah, look, we thought that the Spice would start with Group A. Like, Cloud9, the team that we always expect to come up, above and beyond in an international event. Griffin, that tends to fail under the pressure. And I still have a lot of faith in G2, but you talk to some of the EU experts and they don't seem to replicate the same thing. So, like, for me, what stands out for me, of course, is Cloud9. I want to see what Cloud9 can really do in Group A. Because really, Niska and Svenskeren have been standouts in domestic, and I want to see if they can do that here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and of course, we'll have to see if any more surprises can happen. I think Fnatic being defeated in the manner they were defeated was surprising. FunPlus going down was surprising, and not really seeing that same level of playmaking from GAM. I want to know if Hong Kong Attitude can actually make a splash in that group. Because it is going to be hard.
Yeah.
But I did like what I saw from their playoffs best of. But that's the pressure point, and that's a team that really has to step up.
Yeah, I find it hard to think they're going to play more than a spoiler. I said the Clutch could be that team in their group. I think Hong Kong Attitude will really struggle in the group that they're in. My takeaway, kind of looking at the games we saw today, was the kind of fundamentals teams, the teams that really watch other people, throw their aggression, and then try to scale through, actually won a lot more today than perhaps I expected. Splice held the line. SK Telecom T1, not fair to say they did that this game, but traditionally that had that archetype. But overall, it was the teams that more counterpunched than went for all the punches that picked up the victories on day one.
That's why I'm a little skeptical about HKA, because for me to believe that they'll succeed would be more of an overperformance on, like, let's say the members of Crash and 3Z. But you're right. Like, it's the teams that played well as a unit that end up coming up with the victories.
So does this mean we have more faith in Cloud9 than G2 tomorrow?
Uh-oh.
That'll be a question. But hang on, before you answer it, the day is grouped away, squared away. We've got an idea, a game that I want to play with my analysts. It's going to be called Analysis with Overreactions. Okay. So first up, we're going to pick one of the hot takes. Production team have prepared a couple of different lines. We're going to debate whether or not the statement is believable or if it is an overreaction. And the statement is, Kale is a must ban.
I think it's believable.
Where do we land?
Yeah, I think it's believable. I think already we've seen so much of the Kale, and it feels like it's already proving incredibly successful based off of how you're just using its ultimate. So I like it.
I think it may prove to be a reasonable statement. I think right now it's an overreaction because there were some teams that seemed a little bit underexplored on what to do against this pick. Like mid lane Kale farming it out against Syndra felt wrong. The top lane picks, especially for top lane carry picks, I can see it. When I saw the power into the range at level 6, I was like, okay, this is good. This makes the champ stronger. Not everyone agreed. I think we can agree it has, but I'm not ready to say right now, based on just today, that we should jump to that conclusion.
So you're saying overreaction, you're saying believable.
I think it's believable. I mean, earlier power spike off level 6 in Nashor's Tooth, I think from just what we've seen with heavily skilled teams, maybe not mid lane, but certainly in the top lane.
Because it was a little bit of a softball. Production team, what is our next hot take here on Worlds? Cooldown. TL is the strongest team of the 12 seen today.
All right.
Nope. I think that's definitely
Overreaction?
an overreaction.
Overreaction.
I saw...
So they're in competition with SKT only.
Yes.
That's fair. That's a fair take, but all I'm going to tell you is that the best team today didn't have the Aatrox just gliding into the wall of the baby cage from Veigar. That was some mint going on, even if they did actually toe the line very nicely in the second half.
Right.
I'd say RNG as well. Actually, top 3.
You're throwing them in there as well.
I'm throwing RNG in that one.
LPL
Diversifying your
bias.
portfolio.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's an overreaction, my friend.
Okay, I think I can agree with that. We have to throw a couple of names in, but I do like it. All right, some spiciness coming out. Number 3. Let's see if we go back to believable or overreaction. Graphic is coming up. J-Team will redeem the honor of the LMS.
I'm ready to believe it.
Oh, I actually did not expect that.
So, because...
One loss from FunPlus and you throw them out the window and you're on board the LMS
He's
train.
the most noted flip-flopper on our casting team.
I didn't think it was going to happen after 6 games.
So, wait a minute. So, redeeming the honors of LMS, but like...
Oh, now
what are the honors of the LMS
They won in
thus far?
Season 2.
I think if we're talking about being able to make it out of this group, highly possible. That is all the honors you require.
Hey, let's put it this way. When we came together to cast LMS most recently, it was Rift Rivals, where the best of LMS paired with the best of the Vietnamese region and won 0 best of ones, no games at all. That's a lot of honor to reclaim. The victory today might be a surprise to most people. The Scrimbucks whispers are that they've looked very good in practice games, and honestly here, there was a lot to like in their victory.
So what? No. How far would J-Team need to go to make that statement believable?
Quarters.
Quarters. Yes.
That's simple?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in Group B, please make quarters. Please make quarters.
Okay, I think you're low ball.
When was the last time a team other than Flash was made quarters? Like AHQ many years ago, right? So there's a lot of honor to reclaim. It's been very meager 2 years.
Which is why to me, I think to reclaim the honor, I had expected a deeper run because there's a lot more baggage they have to offload.
Here's what I'll say. If they went 3-3 and then somehow were unluckily placed in 3rd, I still think they reclaimed a lot of honor.
Oh man, you're very forgiving, Papa Smithy.
They've just got a lot of honor to
pick up your edge. I'll see if you pick up your edge.
Okay.
All right, hot take number 4. Was that 3? I think we got number 4 coming up. All right. No!
Believable!
Whoa.
The statement is EU is overrated. There's like 5 guys here. Actually, it's production team. EU is overrated. You saying believable.
Believable.
Are we just talking about the League of Legends?
People were saying it before the tournament.
Are we talking about as a potential, holiday destination?
So
like, what are we talking about
With the context of today, where Splice had just a fantastic win over GAM, and Fnatic looked like they played League of Legends against SKT.
Here's what I'll say. I think a lot of people narrow down EU to like the G2 frenetic play style of lots of kills. I think that style that for a lot of the year seemed like it was going to lead the way and that was the only way you could play. Maybe that style is overrated. Maybe there will have to be kind of the accelerator just loosened a little bit and a bit more slow playing because the slow playing felt like it was much more meta today. But it's a hot take on day one. I think it's closer to believable than perhaps you would like.
And I think this is always a tough conversation whenever it comes to regional conversation. Because G2 certainly is, for me, favorites of the tournament. But if they win the tournament, does that mean EU is
FunPlus were pretty big favorites from Group B.
I want to move us along. I think we got one more hot take before we look at the schedule for tomorrow. And the final hot take... 2019 Worlds.
Highly believable.
Believable.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Fact, it's a fact.
I think I've got it written here.
What production are trying to do, team, is trying to throw you off the truth by making us joke about it, and it's a lie. The whole thing's scripted. Let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule. We have 6 more games from the 2019 League of Legends World Championship. And boy, do we start with a banger. SKT taking on RNG.
What a doozy.
Followed by Fnatic versus Clutch TL. And then at the end of the day, we'll see the 4 teams that we haven't yet seen on stage. What are you most excited for, Papa Smithy?
I think it's just easy to throw out SKT versus RNG,
Yes.
so I'll skip past it and say, to me, Griffin versus G2 for a lot of the year, for a year and a half almost, has been a dream matchup. I remember 3 weeks, 4 weeks into spring when both these teams were dominating, I actually tweeted out, like, maybe if we just canceled the season and played 5 best-of-5s between these teams, I'd be more happy. So we're finally seeing it. A lot has happened since then. Griffin don't have their coach anymore. Like, I don't know what it's going to look like.
How
but
much do you read into the coach, by the way? Because I thought that Reddit overreacted to the sentiment of the news of it, but where do you land?
I'm definitely, you know, I know a little bit about their inner mechanics, and I know just how much of a father figure he was to like this real kind of young lineup that he molded himself. So I think it will have a big impact. I think there will be a sizable change. The direction, I'm not as sure. I definitely do incline to believe that they won't be able to hit the same highs they have been in the past, but
You put that much weight.
for him in that situation, yes, but it seemed like it had soured by the end, judging by the public statements. So there is always that potential. There's a short-term halo effect, but I think it does, for sure, affect their ceiling quick shot at this tournament. I think they can no longer go on to win the whole thing.
So I guess for me,
Based on that.
I'm in one of those situations where, because I believe from what I had heard and seen, the relationship had turned south. That would have impacted the potential performance anyway.
You
But in
can
a
hate
different
your
way,
dad, but you
right?
don't want him to leave. That's a different thing, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It's just a bit too close. Raz, what do you think about the teams you haven't seen yet for tomorrow?
So after MSI, all I ever saw Twitch chat spam was the whole TL versus Invictus Gaming thing. I just need to see that rematch. I need it personally because a lot of that semifinals was exciting to be able to see Team Liquid come up
I feel
above
there's a
and beyond.
butt coming.
But a lot of what happened in that series, if you like just rewatching it, was just a lot of weird nonsense, especially what we saw from, you know, FPX earlier today. From just specifically like Ning, Baolan, a lot of those issues kind of reared its head. But like, people will always say that Invictus Gaming performed poorly at that tournament, but they were incredibly strong during the group stage, and then got obviously wiped off the mat in the semifinals.
Raz, if there was a DVD of 2018 Invictus Gaming, the subtitle would be just a lot of weird nonsense. Like, this was a team that thrived in weird nonsense. And yes, you saw the worst end of specifically Ning, but just Invictus Gaming as a whole in that best of 5. But arguably, you saw the flip side at Worlds, and they won the whole damn thing.
So I don't even know. I'm going to have a long thought about who's going to win this.
We don't have time for long thoughts.
You need
Exactly.
to answer right now.
What?
You have seen both of the respective teams. You have strong feelings. There is no ways you came into this tournament without having preconceived notions. You've had one game to see and judge.
no.
Who will win?
Can't
tomorrow
flip-flop
at 1.
this one.
Also,
I'm gonna have to
Papa Smith is
double
not going to vote.
down.
This is just on you, Raz.
Because my hot take at the beginning of the day, it wasn't only that IG was going to be first seed, but that they were going to do it convincingly.
Already failed the hot take.
Well, look, having, let's say, 5 or 6 wins can still be perceived as convincing.
Wasn't convincing.
so much defense, but you
So I'll say
Don't
this
let
about
him.
IG.
We're not turning off this segment
I
until
will
we get
say
an answer.
this. I'll get an answer. I'll say it's going to be IG. I'm just going to.
Okay.
I'm going to have to stick with
production
the
team.
ship.
I want to track this and reference this tomorrow in the broadcast. If you missed any of the action today, be sure to stay tuned for our broadcast starting in a few minutes, and tune in tomorrow to watch how much egg lands on this young man's face when TL take down IG again. That was it from all of us here tonight. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow for Worlds 2019. See you then. It will,
Baby!
What are you willing to lose? You cover your wounds, but underneath them, a million voices in your head that whisper, stop now.
Can they find Reckless? The you and me's there, but there's the cannon barrage. The ultimate from Teddy at exactly the right time as Effort flashes out of the way. The bait is beautiful. Can he have the AoE damage? There's so much of it as the buster shot onto 3 separates Reckless from the fight, and the resets now come in. It's all about Teddy's damage and Faker launching himself.
Hello, you fans. I'm back.
So are you gonna die?
Gonna dive on underneath. They know exactly what the thing is here. It's Ming. Throws out his ultimate divine judgment on him this time as well as Demonte. Delivered to RNG with a bow on top. Onto Jackie Love, and that's going to mean he survives as now Leon's looking for it. Ysero gonna try and trade his life as in goes Rainbow. He's diving, but the CC is too much. one of them being Ziv, who's so important for these fights. IG didn't want the Baron. They wanted to kill the entirety of AHQ, and Wako can't do anything about it.
TV's now coming in as well, barely alive and walking away as Bear on the jump in, can't find it.
He goes double
lift. There's one kill, there's two. Look at the team fight victory. I've seen double and fight mages in mid before. This time he pulls it off with the quadra kill. Who's gonna land this fight for this one as the fight goes to the front side as well? Doyen be taking a lot of damage, very, very tanky. 1800 on the Baron, and they're not killing it. Fofo finds the kill. He's alone in the pit. If he can find his jungler, they can do it. J-Team picking up the kill. Now the re-engage choice. Levi does not have the health bar left. That's the kill picked up. North Square pops the stopwatch. The team must disengage, but they've got the rest of the squad coming around. Xerxes explosive cast back in Sin, and he'll a second kill in for Humanoid, and we end the day with the European team winning on home soil.